Today's Anxiety Slayer podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Are stress and anxiety interfering with your happiness? Have you been considering seeing a therapist, but you're not sure where to start? BetterHelp will assess your counseling needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist so you can start getting the support you need online in under 24 hours. Special offer for Anxiety Slayer listeners: get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/slayer. That's betterhelp.com/slayer. Welcome back to the Anxiety Slayer podcast. We're celebrating 8 million downloads and our role as a leading resource for anxiety relief. So exciting. Welcome back, Ananga.
Hey, Shan.
I'm still in celebratory mode. I think I'm going to just be celebrating for a while. This week, for Sleep Awareness Week, we're sharing a conversation about the power of guided relaxations for a good night's sleep. And we'll walk through several different options and help you kind of discern what the best choice might be for you. I'm glad we're doing this. And I didn't even realize that there was a Sleep Awareness Week. So here we are.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
Why guided meditation? Why does that help us sleep?
Guided meditation, I think, is a fantastic resource for sleep. It's such a gentle, natural way to get to sleep. And what I particularly love about it is the more we use it, the better it works for us. The mind gets used to it and the mind settles into it more quickly. It helps improve the quality of our sleep by settling the mind. And being led through a guided practice helps draw the mind away from anxious thoughts and engage it in a restful practice where that turbulence, those stirred up thoughts in the mind, are gently calmed as the body and mind starts to relax. And then it's just such a nice, helpful way to get into a relaxed sleep, and so good for anxiety as well.
And I've found that the challenge with trying to sleep with an anxious mind is that the mind catches our attention with whatever it's playing and then runs with it. And then one anxious thought leads to another. And then that escalates until we can't sleep because we're in a completely heightened, anxious state. And this is at times when people will turn to their phone or to the TV for escape. But those choices don't support sleep. They just draw us out in bringing more information in and often keep you up longer.
Yeah, it energizes the mind. And in Ayurveda, it's taught that if we're struggling with anxiety and poor sleep, then vata is involved. And phones increase vata and TV increases vata. And to be able to sleep, we need to be able to rest our senses and slow everything down. And TV and the phone draws our senses out. We're drawing our ears and eyes out into a wakeful state. Is completely understandable when we've got anxious thoughts. We just want them to stop. And we don't want to be stuck with our own mind turning over and over and creating those horrible anxiety symptoms in our body. If we're laying there with that, we want to do anything to make it stop. It's completely understandable that you turn to your phone or TV. Unfortunately, they don't help.
It's not helpful, right?
Yeah, they provide like a temporary distraction, but when you're done, you're still stuck in that heightened state.
Right.
And that's what I love about guided meditation is it diverts the mind, but in a relaxing way. So it does give you something else to listen to, something else to focus on other than your anxious thoughts. It's not initially as engaging as watching something, because when we're looking, that really catches our attention. But if we can just close our eyes and allow yourself to go with it for a minute or two and just say, okay, I'm going to try this for 2 or 3 minutes, give it a try. The relaxation process diverts the mind and helps the mind settle enough for sleep to come naturally. And there are a variety of different meditation types to do that.
There are. And I wanted to just also bring up something else that I've found useful is sometimes I just want to listen to relaxing music while I read. I might read a chapter in my book while I'm listening, and that'll bring me back to feeling sleepy. I put the book down, and that's all I need. So very much like some of the musical pieces that you've created for our sleep album and for other albums that we had, just hearing that is also helpful. But let's dig into the different types. There are many different types of meditations, as you mentioned. Some work with the breath or body, others work with releasing unwanted thoughts or relaxing the mind through visualization. We recommend that you try guided meditations for improving your sleep. Just try out several different options, different tracks, and you'll find one that you prefer and that you stay with. I still have a favorite from many, many years ago that you created, Ananga, with your voice, and I never can remember the name of it. I know it's not on one of our albums, I don't think.
You voiced all our albums, so
Yeah, this is one that you created years ago, years and years ago, and
wow.
we'll have to look into it and find it and make it available because it's so good.
No idea what it is. I did do an album many years ago just before we started working together with some guided meditations. Maybe it's one of those.
Yeah, yeah. You can also use the body to relax the mind for sleeping. How do we do that?
There are a few popular practices for this. Yogic practices. There are some like corpse pose, shavasana, relaxing the body in that way. But one that's really popular and very easy to do, and I find quickly engages the mind, is the body scan meditation. And we have recorded one of these ourselves. It's a guided practice that redirects the mind away from racing, anxious thoughts to different areas in the body. It takes a tour around the body. Some people start from the feet and work up, others start from the head and work down. And the body scan practice brings awareness to tension or temperature, different sensations in different areas of the body, and just works through observing those in a very relaxed and calm way, just observing and witnessing, noticing, and then beginning to release tension in each specific area of the body, working through the body like that. And it's really relaxing. It's amazing how much tension we hold and we don't realize, and really good to release and let that go, and puts the body in a very relaxed state, which is the complete opposite to fight or flight. And it's that keeps us awake often when we have that still running and we have stress hormones rushing through our body from our busy day or an anxious day, whatever's going on in our mind. So the body scan's a really good way to encourage the body to come out of fight, flight, or freeze and into the relaxation response, which is really conducive for sleep.
I'm getting tired right now. Just thinking about the body scan. Today's Anxiety Slayer podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Are stress and anxiety interfering with your happiness and preventing you from living your best life? There have been a few times in my life where I've needed some extra support and wish I'd had an option for online support. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. To be clear, BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online, and their service is available for clients worldwide. You get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you don't have to leave your home. It's more affordable than traditional in-person counseling, and financial aid is available. You can start living a happier life today. Special offer for Anxiety Slayer listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/slayer. That's betterhelp.com/slayer. Before the break, we were talking about using the body to relax the mind for sleep. What other practices are there to help us get a good night's rest?
Another body-based practice is to use breathing practices. When we're anxious, we tend towards very shallow breathing, and that holds the body in a stress response that can affect our sleep. When we become habituated to anxious, shallow breathing, we don't always notice. And so it's difficult for us to adjust it, to change it. So we might jump into bed thinking, I'm going to go to sleep, but the body's in that heightened state. So following a relaxing breathing practice helps us switch over again to the relaxation response. Guided practices help us calm and deepen the breath and also relax the mind. And as we've often discussed on the podcast, when our breath is racing or shallow, our thoughts become more activated. Our thoughts race too. The rate of the thoughts in our mind has a direct relationship with our breath. So as we learn to slow and relax and deepen our breath, the mind naturally follows on and we begin to feel more calm and more relaxed. And again, it's a wonderful thing to learn because we quickly feel the benefit. We quickly get on board with the benefits. So then we're eager to come back to it. And as you said, Shan, it's really good to have a go-to meditation. You might like to mix it up. I change mine around a bit, but I have 2 or 3 that I'll come back to that I really am familiar with. And what I found, there's one in particular, I couldn't even tell you the content of it because I've done it so many times now that what it means to me is within a minute I'm gone. Before it really even gets going, I've conked out. So I know it works.
Yeah.
The mind very quickly feels the benefit and get a kind of eagerness for that experience again. It's like, oh yeah, I know this helps me relax. I know this feels like a good experience. So have a listen to a few and find 1 or 2 that really do it for you, really help you relax and help you settle. And then it becomes a practice. It becomes a routine healing event, which again in Ayurveda is very, very beneficial. Routine is really important in establishing better sleep and in calming anxiety. As boring as it sounds, the word routine, but we need a healing routine. And the steadiness of that, coming back to that, ideally at the same time, around the same time every day, soon has a beneficial effect for us on our sleep.
I also quite enjoy guided visualizations where you are whisked away to a peaceful scene or taken on a journey that is accompanied with wonderful supportive music that helps your mind just become immersed in a very relaxing experience, which is similar to hypnosis. And of all of these, this is one of my favorites. I like to write them. I like to voice them. I like to listen to them.
Yeah.
And they're just, yeah, a wonderful way to carry you off and help you sleep as well. And they're also great if you just need a break and need to unwind. And it's a lovely way to do so. I'm thinking I'm seeing the album covers of all of the albums we've created over the years and thinking of Oasis.
Yeah, that's what came to mind for me as well.
Yeah.
You created that incredible guided journey on Oasis, and the music for that was improvised live. I just listened to your voice and played the flute along with your voice live,
Mhm.
and then created the music around it because I wanted it to have that flow of the journey that you were speaking. And that album's on our Patreon, the full album, and I think it's one of my absolute favorites. And
Yeah.
again, when we feel anxious, we want that diversion. I think the whole mood of Oasis was to create a break, wasn't it? It was to create like a healing escape. That was the whole mood
Mhm.
of that album. I think the cover's got like kind of a desert island on there, if I remember rightly. But yeah, really wonderful. And before I started working with you, that was my work. I was working with a very poetic healer called Sylvia, and I was creating music for her. She was creating these beautiful, like hypnotic experiences. She was a hypnotist, and I worked with her for about 3 years, creating the music for those journeys. And that was a great experience for me because I really learned how to mark that relaxation experience with music, how to create
Mm.
music that really supported that. And I think Oasis is one of my absolute favorite albums that we've created together because it's really in that spirit.
Yeah, it is. Finally, we have thought calming meditations. Sometimes our sleep is disturbed by worrying thoughts that catch the mind in a very stressed and wakeful state. And this is where you can turn to meditations that encourage the release of these thoughts, the release of the anxiety. By meditating on them drifting by or floating away, we often think about just watching clouds and how the clouds move across the sky and go away. So you're not fixated on that cloud staying right where it's at. You let it do what it does
Yeah.
and float away. And these are very, very, very supportive meditations.
Yeah. We've done a couple. I think we did restful awareness was one, which focuses on leaves floating away down a stream. But we also created one called Beyond the Clouds. I think when we're anxious, the real challenge with our thoughts is in the daylight waking hours, sometimes on a good day, our intelligence says that's not real. I'm having anxious thoughts, but I can see it doesn't really make sense. When we're trying to sleep and we're trying to rest and the energy of the day has wound down, anxious thoughts can become all the more sticky and get our attention. And once they've got our attention, they grow. The anxious mind focuses in on them and it will start creating information to support them and to make them feel more solid. And I think these kinds of meditations are really helpful for that because they turn the anxious thoughts into something similar to people watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're just watching people go by, say, from a coffee shop window, and you don't know them. They're just on their journey. They don't have personal relevance to you. And that's a really interesting way to work with unwanted thoughts, to just detach from them and don't be invested in them and have this practice of them just blowing by overhead or floating down a stream and just keeping moving. Let them come, let them go, but don't get into them, don't get hooked or snagged on them. So another really helpful kind of meditation. So there's four types of meditation that we've shared.
And each of them has their merit. So allow yourself to be in that place of exploration. What do you like? What do you not like? What voices do you like? What music do you like? Dive into it, and you will find some great support there. And also, you can find our sleep album. It's called Sleep Guided Relaxations for a Good Night's Sleep on our Patreon. You'll find guided relaxation for worry free sleep, a journey to deep relaxation, and then, of course, Ananga's music for sleep without any voice work at all. And these are also available outside of Patreon, but if you're already on Patreon and supporting us as a patron, that's where you can find it. And for our Patreon VIP subscribers, you can also find tapping for sleep. Ananga created a special guided tapping session for restful sleep that begins with calming restless anxiety and worrying thoughts and progresses into tapping and breathing for deep relaxation and sleep. And this tapping audio can also be used to help you relax and get back to sleep if anxiety wakes you in the night. And of course, I can't say goodbye today without thanking all of our patrons. We are so grateful for your support. If you'd like to become a patron for Anxiety Slayer, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Anxiety Slayer. And there are 3 different tiers that you can get involved with. Check them out, and we'd be so grateful for your support. We'll see you next week.